Book fans, welcome back to Comics Talk in 5 Minutes. You may have noticed I'm not doing a review much all this week. There's been not many new releases in my store, and a lot of it is sold out straight away. So instead I'm going to take advantage of my platform to talk about random things about comic books which interest me. In this particular case, it's all inspired by a post I saw on social media about comic books being for everyone. Now, I actually do agree with the phrase comic books are for everyone. I have a t-shirt which says it and everything. I really should have worn it today. But I do have some caveats on that. I think everyone who believes in anything probably has some caveats on it. Like, I think Warren Ellis, for instance, get in the bloody sea. Pretty much anyone involved in Comicsgate. I don't want anything to do with their comic books at all. But those are more to do with the actual people and the actions they've taken. And I think there's some more complicated nuance in this idea of comics for everyone, and the reasons people might exclude people from that. The post in question was talking about people who were famous for other reasons before they started writing comic books. Most famously in recent years, that's going to be Keanu Reeves, working with Matt Kindt on the Berserk thing, which was pretty much optioned for a movie/TV series before it even published its first issue. And a lot of people can dismiss it as being like, well, this is Keanu Reeves just trying to push his idea for a TV show or movie, which he's literally already cast himself in, and trying to build up support for it. And straight away, I kind of bounced back off that idea. It's like, this is Keanu Reeves. He don't need no help from comic books. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a bit of a geek, and I kind of like the idea that he's going to put something in a comic book, and I read it, and I enjoyed it, and the ending was way better than I thought it was going to be. Totally flipped some of the concepts on its head, went really hard sci-fi in interesting ways, totally not how it started, and well done. But it did get me thinking about the various other people who were famous before, who then started writing comic books, and how some people kind of interact with that and why they might bounce back against it. I mean, obviously the Keanu Reeves one is the big example, and some people kind of assume because of that pretty much everyone else who's famous for working TV or movies is just going to do comic books because they're going to be in that comic book when it becomes a TV or a movie. So many comic books are going that way. You can kind of see where the logic is for that. But you've got people like Emilia Clarke, who did a fantastic, extremely hardcore feminist superhero story called Mother of Madness, which was never optioned, never will be. She never intended it to be. She just wanted to write a comic book because she likes comic books. But some people still dismiss that one. Other than that, you've got people like Paul Dano and Dan DeVito, who both played Batman villains, and have written comic books involving that Batman villain, and nobody gives them any grief because, well, they've already played them. So what's the point? Like, they've already done that thing. But that still doesn't quite cover why some people are okay with it and some people aren't. I think sometimes people might have like a bias against the idea of somebody coming into the industry who doesn't respect it, maybe. Like, if your only idea is that you're going to do it as a pitch, and don't get me wrong, I can see why you might do that. You're basically going to create this multi-page, full-colour storyboard for your idea. If it's a successful comic book, you're going to build up an audience ahead of time. You're going to have way more negotiating power when you go in to talk to people about it becoming a movie or TV series. I don't necessarily think that's the be-all and end-all for an awful lot of people who do it. I mean, Patton Oswalt doing Minor Threat, one of the best comics I've been reading recently. It's onto its third spin-off with another one on the way, and every single issue did fantastic. Most recently, we had an absolutely harrowing tale of what it means to be a parent, and a bad parent at that. Also introduced the world to Dino Sorcerer, a superhero, a supervillain, should I say, that totally deserves their own spin-off series. But on the other end of that, we do know some people who have done comic books because they couldn't make it into a TV series or movie, they're trying something else. But that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. That Texas Blood exists because of that. In the back matter for that one, he tells you his entire idea for a movie, which never got off the ground, was basically most of issue 1 and the ending of issue 5. Everything else in the intermediate period, he had to do as a comic book, and realised how much he enjoyed doing it as a result of it. Every issue of that Texas Blood has been fantastic, and I've enjoyed the Enfield Gang Massacre spin-off, and I can't wait for more that he's going to do. Because he loves the genre. Or at least develops a love for it. Same with Patton Oswalt. I mean, that's one of my go-to examples, because he's a guy who clearly loves comic books, and he's done what a lot of other famous people going to comic book writing have done, work with somebody else. Margaret Bennett and Matt Kindt, two off the top of my head, who have actually elevated what's gone on. It's not to say, again, that it's always going to work well. Last Mermaid was kind of only put out there to be a pitch, and the layout for it was kind of weird and unusual, and I know one of my regulars has dropped it because he was like, well, it was an interesting idea, but the idea that only exists to be a pitch for a movie or TV series, it does show a lack of respect. And I think that's kind of my only real proper issue I have with people doing it. Because for everyone else who's ever tried, who's become famous for the means and made a comic book, as long as they show respect and love for the medium and the genre, and as long as they care about what they're doing, and hopefully making something great a la Patton Oswalt, I'm absolutely okay with them doing it. It is the lack of respect, and I get that to a certain degree with Last Mermaid. I've never read it, I don't know how good it is, but the example that, you know, I always used to go against this idea that everyone should be given a chance, and everyone should be allowed to, if they want to use comic books, to explore their idea of storytelling, they should be allowed to, is the the exception that breaks the rule, shall we say, and that is Shit Kicker and Bullseye. Literally one of the worst comic books I've ever read, and only exists because the guy tried to make it as a movie, but apparently nobody gave a damn. Tried to make a TV series, nobody gave a damn. Tried to write it as a novel, nobody gave a damn. Tried to do it as a comic book, hardly anyone gave a damn. Bliss on Tap let him do it if he paid for it, which is vanity publishing, and I can see why he had to pay for it. It was terrible. Not just that, though. This ties into the other point that you need to respect the medium and respect the genre. He did not. You read his back matter, and he is an angry, bitter man who thinks, because of, I don't know, some weird privilege or this idea that everyone should hear his stories, he felt like bitter and let down by the fact that nobody cared enough to publish his or make his story into reality. It turns out it's just because it was bad. It is one of the worst books I've ever read. And he also hates everyone who told him no. I mean, it's just ridiculous. At one point he was insulting comic book creators for not having a six-pack. This is the kind of stuff where I think if that's your only encounter of people who made a comic book instead of making a movie or TV series because that's their only option, I can see why you'd hate it. But it's more than that. There's more going on. There are people creating wonderful things because they love and respect the medium, and you should give things a shot. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But don't frame your dislike because it's somebody who's doing it for whatever reason. If it's not a good comic, that's fine. But if it ends up being something like Minor Threats, or That Texas Blood, or Mother of Madness, or Paul Dano's Riddler, then just enjoy it for what it is and be thankful we got an extra story. That's it. I'm going to go back to review next week, but I just wanted to do this. I've been on my mind for a while. It's totally unscripted, as you can probably tell, so please be gentle in the comments. But other than that, feel free to shout out, give me your own opinions. This is something which people have been talking about, and I will be interested in hearing what people say. Until I see you all again, though, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!